Hello and welcome. My name is Chris Ringler. I am the spooky Chris of the podcast name. Thank you for joining me. I'm excited tonight to welcome Paul Vecchiet to talk about his new book, The Disclosure Paradox, Book 1, which comes out February 18th from Right Away Books. Fascinating book. It was really interesting about the idea of government conspiracies and contact with extraterrestrials, and just a very, very interesting guy and very interesting talk. So I will invite you to come along and stick around for my closing, because I will give you all the info on his work. Thanks for coming. Thank you so much for joining me. I have author Paul G. Vecchiet with me. I'm honored to talk to you. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
This is,
Appreciate it.
right, really on almost on the eve of your newest book coming out, which is very exciting. It's The Disclosure Paradox, Book 1's coming out February 18th from Right Away Books. We'll get to that, but congratulations on that.
Thank you very much.
That's amazing. Now I like to kind of start. What drew you to writing?
Um, well, I think it had to do with a lot of spiritual events that occurred to me. Also, what kind of started me on the path um, was way back um, when I was a child, where I was in Catholic school, and right away I had this notion that what they were teaching us was, you know, there was some problem that I had with what they were teaching. Um, and what I do is I guide the reader through uh, my process through the book, because the book is almost like a autobiography. So started out with the way I was brought up at the Catholic school and having problems with that, and then having a understanding of and a deep enthusiasm with science fiction and the space program, the Mercury space program, the Gemini, the Apollo. I would always watch the news about that. But what really got me, I guess, initiated into it is when I was an officer in the Air Force, and that I stumbled upon a secret basement in a very secure facility, and that basement had a large cryogenic chamber. Um, so that was very sensitive information that was on instruction documents. Probably shouldn't have been there, and kept that secret 5 years after I left the service. And then I started to watch Ancient Aliens, and things started to happen to me spiritually. Meditation, out of body experiences, meeting psychic women who told me that I have a role to play, that I should be writing, and putting together all of my ideas and experiences in books. And this is where we are.
That's amazing. Now have you kind of always felt like a storyteller? I mean, despite your different career path, have you always kind of had that in you?
No, I did not have that storytelling ability. Um, I learned to write actually in the Air Force. They teach you how to write well in the Air Force when you're an officer. But and then I became a technical writer. But I started a blog uh, about these things in 2009, and from there I started to develop that craft.
That's awesome. Now you have had a book come out before this new one, What Doesn't Kill Her. Now, how did it feel when that first book came out, especially coming from a different background, and then suddenly you're kind of trying this, writing?
Well, first of all, this first book is really only 3 issues from 2019. I self-published 2 books, this one, and then what you mentioned, What Doesn't Kill Her, which is a prequel to this
Okay.
one, which is about a character in the first one. And then I wrote a third one. But what happened was that a foreign business monk searched on Google extraterrestrials and spirituality, and he found my first book, and he loved it. And then he friended me, and he offered to send me all kinds of documents. And he said, "This is what you should be writing about next." And it was about the start of Philip. So I started to read the documents, and they were all research papers from folks around the world. And it turns out that this Ben Wilson Monk has been researching the town for 40 years. He's a prominent writer, like nine books on the subject matter. And he was also featured as a speaker in the using the Bible. So he's prominent in that. And so I started to read the documents they accepted and got interested in it. And this would actually make a good sequel to the first book. So I put together an outline, sent it to him. He liked it. Thankfully, I made the manuscript, sent to him. He liked it so much that he actually wrote the foreword for the third book. And it was the third book that got the attention of publishers and editors when they found out that I had two other books. This is where we are in the published stuff.
That's awesome. I mean, it's I had seen that you had initially self-published and got to kind of start that way. So, was it just you felt so compelled to tell these stories that you just wanted to get it out any old, any way you could, that's the route you took?
The the psychic women, one after another, and they don't know each other. They never know each other, but they were telling me the same thing, that there was something special about me, that I was a informer and a counselor. And then one psychic woman who psychic spiritual contactee, and she would get messages from an advanced race that would contact me through her. She would go into a trance, she would write them, and then it was their words, and it's like they encouraged me to do what I was doing.
That's awesome. Now your books deal with the paranormal and the extraordinary. How did you come to question, conventional wisdom and want to write these stories? And now it sounds like obviously you've had kind of almost a guiding hand, but
Right.
what it was that what compelled you?
Well, when I was a teenager, I accidentally listened. What happened was I listened to music station high school, and then um, kind of fell asleep, and it turned into like talk radio, and it was Eric Von Dante talking about the Chariots of the Gods. It was like in early mid '70s, um, and it really interested me because he was explaining what was the future. It was actually a um, like a documentary of Vecchiet's contact with extraterrestrials, and that he actually went into the ship, and the hand of God was actually gravity. So the next day I went to school, checked out the Bible, and sure enough, it's there, and that caught my attention. From there on, I knew that there was something up. And then, of course, my experience in the Air Force kind of cemented that. Um, and I guess the one thing that you know it was kind of so passive in my memory were those two things. But then after I started to write the blog and met all of these psychic women, um, then it was kind of like an awakening. And when I decided to write the book, the first book, I sat down on a weekend and I wrote 31 pages about my straight in that weekend. And I never strayed from them. And I'm pretty sure that I had some help when I wrote that out because it was very detailed.
Now, had you uh, earlier in your life had how what what kind of view did you have on the idea of an extraterrestrials and contact with other beings?
The only thing I ever realized is that I was pretty certain that what they were teaching us at Catholic school was not the truth, and that there's still a lot of things that were unanswered. So I had a curiosity that was, needed to be fulfilled. And I was always uh, uncomfortable with the idea of what.
Okay. Now, can you tell me a little bit about your upcoming book, The Disclosure Paradox?
Sure. So, as I mentioned, it could be a autobiography. Um, the main character is based on myself, my experiences, my meditative experiences, my contacts with spiritual psychic women. All of the characters in the book are based on real people, their real names, like them. Um, and the reason that I wrote it as a fiction is because the nonfiction genre is just saturated with people that write about their concepts and self-expression and their beliefs and all that stuff. And they have, their radio shows and they have their following and they've written many, many books. And I just couldn't compete in that. But I knew that if I put together a story that was entertaining and I could fit in the facts and also slide in moral that people can take away, then I was fulfilling the mission that I need. So what it does is it links the extraterrestrial phenomenon to our spirituality, and it explains why disclosure is not a good idea. There are a lot of people that are pushing for the government to reveal the truth about our contacts and technology and things that have crashed, and we've been able to reverse engineer. It's not a good idea, um, and I kind of follow the words from someone that passed away a few years ago. His name was Robert Dean, and he was a contact, and he was with the Army. He was psychic. The reason that they had him was because he was able to get information to meditation from these ancestors. And when they found out that they were trying to use them for less than ethical means, he started to go rogue. But the thing about the disclosure paradox, the paradox is how, as we as a human race are um, supposed to improve ourselves spiritually if we're not allowed to manage wrong things. And the reason that you see signs of extraterrestrials and UFOs, but we don't have contact, that's because if we were to have contact and if our governments were to say extinct technology, what would happen eventually is our less than ethical systems would take hold of it. They would take the technology, they would weaponize it, and they would use it against them. So we are considered, according to Robert Dean and others, one of the most dangerous species in the universe because you combine our violence, our irrational obsession with possession, and our capacity to kill each other to the point of genocide. And you combine that with our high intelligence, and it's pretty dangerous. So we are what's called under a technological and social quarantine until we actually change and we get rid of those things that make us dangerous. By the way, the what makes us dangerous is our DNA. It's the DNA that is our original sin, not what the Bible teaches. Our original sin that we can't get rid of is our DNA. But if we know that is what's wrong with us, perhaps we can change.
Wow. Do you do you think that in your lifetime that will make enough strides to kind of start the process of connecting with these other beings?
It's a long shot. I'm hoping that not only this book, but the next one, which will be about the crowd of Jesus, I hope that has some impact. That's to start something. Um, but it it's going to take a change, a shift in our paradigm, the way that we see things. What I write in the first book is that we're here to help each other, to make life better for each other, not make life better for ourselves at the expense of others. And that's a very key thing to take away. That if we were able to do that, certainly solve a lot of problems.
What you know, now this is the first part of a series. Now, what do you hope
Yeah,
to kind, because it seems like with all of the things that you've learned, you want to kind of be a catalyst, to kind of start that change. Is that kind of one of the hopes you have for these books?
yeah. I don't want to put myself in the place of somebody that starts a religion. I don't want to do that. But perhaps a movement or something, and I know that that's really egotistical to think of that, but um, you know, it's a dream. If the book becomes popular, people start talking about it, if they understand the ramifications, uh, if people really want to be part of the rest of the universe, like it is in Star Trek, perhaps, you know, those are the things that will make them want to change. And it may require a change in generation too, who knows? But um, you know, as I mentioned, I I have been told that I am a counselor and informer, nothing else. I'm not a warrior. I'm not a light worker, just a counselor and informer. And perhaps this is just one piece uh, of of many things that the the good EPs want us to do in order for us to get back into the universal community.
Well, now, do you think that the universe is kind of waiting for us to catch up with them? Are they?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. They want us to be with they because first of all, Earth is a beautiful planet and they would probably like to come and visit and check out the Grand Canyon and Niagara Falls and the Amazon forest and all those things. So, and even see all of the creatures that are in Africa and South America. I'm sure that they would like to do that, but they're not going to risk it.
Uh, do you believe like through history they've tried to initiate any kind of contact, kind of before our technology kind of took over for us?
My hypothesis is based on a lot of things, especially like how he died, how he, how what happened after he died. Is I feel that Jesus is actually sent as a test for humanity to see if we were ready. And obviously, the test failed to kill them. We not only killed them, we tortured them. And everyone looks for another coming, second coming of Jesus. That's not going to happen. Not until we
Uh, so do you think then? So do you think that would be kind of the usher in that new age? It would be when there is a second coming, and do you think it would be like a human or someone influenced by an outside being?
Yeah. You pose an interesting question. How would it happen? How would we know that we are ready to become part of the community? What will it take? Will it be some sort of of events, or will it be gradual? I feel that it may be gradual, and it may happen without even people knowing it. It'll just be where like, the first thing that we'll probably get is maybe um, true contact with someone important on Earth, and that'll be the start of it.
Now, when it comes to kind of the government knowing things, do you think they've known for a long time about these outside beings and have kind of been compelled to keep that to themselves?
Absolutely, I think the reason that the government is concerned about people knowing about vegetables and UFOs and technology is because if we were to gain this technology, they probably have been warned that if we were to go beyond that, there would be um, there would be a reaction. There would be probably a preemptive strike if we were to have technology that would be high enough where we can use it and weaponize it against them. So I think they've been warned, and part of the deal is that they're trying to suppress the information as much as possible.
Have you personally seen anything that like a glimpse behind the curtain, as it were?
No, the only thing that I could tell you that I saw, what I saw in meditation, felt in meditation, uh, and of course, that seeing the proof of us having a cryogenic chamber very likely used for exotic cadavers, because that kind of aligns with Phil Corso's story, uh, his book called The Day After Roswell, and he does mention the base that I was at where they did ship the cadavers to. So that aligns pretty well. But um, I would like to have seen some anomalies in the sky, or felt something. I did, once see something that I thought was odd, but it's very minor.
So when with all of the people, the sightings people claim to have and stuff, do you think it is anyone else, or do you think it's just kind of us misinterpreting things?
Um, Anyone else mean like uh, any
Like,
other race?
yes, yeah, like extraterrestrial life.
That first of all, yes, I believe that there are cases that combine discipline. I feel, for example, that they talk about these crop circles. And I feel the crop circles are nothing more than a type of graffiti by an advanced intelligence that just does it because they've come and checked out Earth and then they want to leave something. They really have no special purpose other than just proving that someone did come and visit. That there are there are monuments and there are temples and there are pyramids and there are all kinds of artifacts all around the world that prove that there has been advanced life forms throughout history that have visited us or been involved with certain cultures.
Now to get back a little, to backtrack a little,
Mm-hmm.
what's the process been from, taking the leap from self-published to being, having it coming out through a publisher? What's that been like for you?
Well, as I mentioned, I didn't start to write that third book, but you know that that Benedictine monk made it happen, and then when I was looking for um, an agent for that third book, um, again, it was just by synchronicity, by just coincidence that I met an editor that liked it and helped me out with query process, and he really liked the story. and he was a published author himself, but he also was involved in editing, and he helped me out. It was by accident that we met, but helped me out, and because he was a published author and he liked it, he actually promoted the book to his own publisher, and that's how everything happened. Um, he passed away in October from cancer, and is in fact one of his books is in the Rock and Roll Museum Hall of Fame
Oh, wow.
because it was about the lead guitarist for Rod Stewart, one of the best memoirs rock and roll ever written.
That's awesome. So are you hoping to kind of get on the road with these books and do signings or appearances or even talks?
Oh, sure, absolutely. I It's good and it's not good, but I have a full-time job. Uh, I'm an architect with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, and got a lot of projects that I'm managing the design of that value about $16 billion. So that's a lot of work, but I'm trying to fit in everything, and we'll see what happens with the first book's popularity. If it reaches a certain level of popularity, that there are a certain number of orders, then I'll be able to, retire them and be a full time. I have two other books in my mind to write, by the way.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask Disclosure Paradox is part of a series with a second book coming out later this year. Do you
Right.
have kind of a number in mind of how many books might be in the series, or are you just going to wait and see?
Um, so the fourth one will be about the Hadron Collider and how that's being, they're telling us one thing, but it's actually being used and there'll probably be another one because there are some loose ends in the first book that I don't uh, take care of. I'll probably be writing them out just for the heck of that. But I also want to write a sixth book that is totally different from the series separate, which is two stories about fictionalizing father and grandfather and their experiences in the Second World War.
That's awesome. That is I I admire your just kind of your vision to to be able to kind of see that far ahead. And that's just amazing. Are you hoping to be kind of as aggressive as you've been on getting these first two books out, or is it just you're going to kind of just wait and see when they're done? They'll come out when they come out.
No, I'm trying to pace, myself. I'm going to stay with this publisher. They're fantastic people deal with, and they've been quite tolerant, with me. They they've respected, my just my space, and they they like what I'm putting out. So there's no need to change on that.
That is fantastic. Gosh, now with you hear all kinds of stories about the paranormal. Do you think any of the paranormal things that we experience as humans are influenced by extraterrestrials, or they're connected in any way, or is it kind of the two things that have nothing to do with one another?
So there's a chapter in the first book about um, an officer who um, I made friends with while we were working together, and he is psychic, his mother is psychic, and he has had visitations um, that that cross over into Christianity. He's been visited by what people would say is Mary. And I tell him that Mary actually was a figure to appear benevolent to whoever he appeared to, like that Lord of Fatima. It, it wasn't really Mary, it was an image to appear benevolent. And the same thing happened to him. He had a visitation by her. And I detail that in that chapter called The Divine Warrior. He's still he's still in the service, and again, protect his identity because when he approached me, uh, I was I was sending him coordinates of proof of extraterrestrial activity in Antarctica, and we were going to have a meeting before doing some work the following day, and uh, sat down and he was expecting me to tell him stuff about Antarctica, and out of nowhere, something told me to say these words to him. I said, before we sit down, I want you to know that we are in the midst of a spiritual war. You are part of it. And it's like, I didn't even intend to say that, but I said it to him. And just with that, he started to turn red. He started to have tears in his eyes. And he just bawled out and thought he was going, he told me he was going crazy, thought he was going crazy. And he told me all these things that happened to him that crosses him into spirituality, that he understood that there was indeed a spiritual war going on.
Wow. Now, as readers get these books in their hands, what are you hoping they take away from them?
Well, as I mentioned in the preface, right away, I talk about destiny, talk about fate, and I talk about how we um, have a greater impact on others, and others have a greater impact on our lives than we have on ourselves. So, um, I mentioned that fate and destiny is a concept, but there are some people that are here for a goal, and then there's some people that are here for other reasons. But the important thing is that we are here, as I mentioned, to make life better for others. Um, so that's one thing that I want people to understand. Another thing is I want people to get curious, start to ask questions. Um, Read closer in the Bible about things that people say is purely religious. There are a lot of things in there that you can take away that could be evidence of high technology or even evidence that what um, the Israelites thought was God is not. Um, so I have a chapter in there about that actually during talking with the divine warrior. There's a conversation about that, and um, and above all, see if we can try and change the paradigm from being violent, being greedy, and kind of turning towards a more spiritual life.
Now, I'm curious. This just occurred to me. Now, do you think that uh, the human God, Christian God, it would be kind of a unifying all God of all species?
So one of my meditations, um, one of my important meditations was actually seeing what people say is God. What I did is I saw a cloud of indigo ahead of me and felt a euphoria, kind of like the kind of feeling that people would say when they're in heaven, because it was like nothing you could feel on earth. closer the cloud dissipated, and it was flashes of indigo all over the place, just flashes of indigo. And right there, I got the message of what it was. Those flashes were the spirits between lines, and the flashes were either downloading their previous life or uploading to their next life. And when they were all together in this mass, it's like a beehive of activity. That mass is what we call God. It's the energy, the source energy. So really, what God is the um, combination of all of the spirits between lives in one mass, in one consciousness. When I realized what everything was, I was back in my body.
Wow. That's fascinating. I've never heard that interpretation. That's fascinating. Wow. Um, I cannot thank you enough, Paul Vecchiet, for the talk. Holy cow, this has been amazing. Your book, so The Closure Paradox, book one comes out February 18th from Right Away Books. The Disclosure Paradox Book 2, Salvation, is in September, and I'll assume from Right Away Books. And I can't wait to see when these are out into the world and everybody's kind of, and getting a full push from a publisher and everything. And I wish you all the best. I look forward to seeing how this comes together for you. And this is, again, like, this has been fascinating.
Can I give you my website?
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, to let me
Uh,
know how folks can track you down.
yeah. So you can, anyone could order now because they're accepting pre-orders. So the website is very simple, all one word, www.thedisclosureparadox.com. Very simple. And what's cool about that is that people can go in there. They could read about the character descriptions. They could read the preface. They could even read the foreword by the Benedictine monk who wrote the foreword for the second book. They could read excerpts for each chapter in the first book, and of course the preface. So there's a lot in there, and I'll be putting interviews in there. I'll be putting news about appearances and all that stuff. I'm keeping it up, and I have a very good web designer that's been managing it for me.
Yeah, it's an amazing site. I checked it out. It's an amazing site. Thank you so much, sir. I wish you all the best. You have a great evening.
Thanks for having me, Chris.
Thank you. Again, that was an amazing discussion with Paul Vecchiet. Fascinating stuff. Really interesting. So again, you can track down all of his information, everything about his books at thedisclosureparadox.com. You can pre-order the book there. It's published by Right Away Books. It's going to be available from Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, Bookshop.org, Waterstones, and other retailers. His other book is What Doesn't Kill Her. But he has Disclosure Paradox Book 1 that's coming out the 18th of February. And then September 2025 is Disclosure Paradox Book 2, Salvation. And like he said, it sounds like there's a whole lot of these being plotted out. And it's absolutely a fascinating topic. And I invite you to check it out and check his website out. And I can't thank him enough. And I thank you. You can find all my other podcasts and everything else at spookychris.com. I've been lucky enough to interview a lot of great authors and folks involved in the film industry, and it's been amazing. And you can find everything there and all of my own writing and everything else. Thanks a lot. I will talk to you soon.